our travels have brought us to the National Historic Park here in Morristown, New Jersey. During the American Revolutionary War, General Washington and the Continental Army spent the winter of 1779-1780 in and around Morristown, just 20 miles from New York City. We begin today's explore on a hilltop which has a commanding view over the town below, where what is now called Fort Nonsense was once located. Washington ordered the small fortification be established atop the hill, allowing the Continental Army to have advance notice in the event the British threatened. Well, that never happened. The fort never defended Morristown, and life for the soldiers that manned the fort was pretty mundane. With ample time on their hands, boredom quickly set in. Some soldiers felt they were ordered to build the fort simply as a way to keep them busy. Hence, the nickname Fort Nonsense was born. This stone marks the site of Fort Nonsense, an earthwork built by the Continental Army in the winter of 1779-1780, erected 1888. This sign explains why Morristown became such an important key during the war. The Watchung Mountains belong to a chain of ridges running from New Brunswick to West Point. They shielded the Army from the British in New York City and helped protect the roads from Philadelphia to New England by way of West Point. Located in a long valley west of the mountains, Morristown became an Army supply center. Connecting roads brought supplies from the surrounding region. Local rivers powered iron forges, grist mills, sawmills, and a gunpowder mill, all providing essential supplies for the Army. Today the hilltop is defended by this sole piece of artillery. Here on the weapon's second reinforce is the seal of Lord Ligonier, who served as Britain's Master General of Ordnance from 1757 until 1763, which dates this piece to the same 6-year period. The seal is emblazoned with Ligonier's initial, surrounded by a leather strap, inscribed with the Latin words, "Three united in one," likely referring to England, Scotland, and Ireland of the British Isles. Further down is the seal of King George II, leaving absolutely no doubt this is a captured British artillery piece. Now protecting the village of Morristown against the very people that manufactured the cannon. Indeed, the hilltop provides an excellent position from which to watch over the town below. There were likely far fewer trees when the fort was active, and what trees there were would have lost their leaves during the autumn and winter when the Army was encamped here. Even with the trees, you can clearly see much of the town and surrounding area. In the distance, I believe that may be Newark, or maybe even part of New York City. The plaque reads, "Morristown was a village of about 70 buildings in 1777. General George Washington, Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, brought his tired troops to Morristown for rest and reorganization in January 1777. They had just completed successful attacks against the Hessian and British troops at Trenton and Princeton. The new year brought an end to many enlistments, and Washington's regular army dwindled in size to a few thousand men. He warned the Continental Congress to the situation of scarcely having an army at all. Encouraged by the recent military victories, enlistments increased by spring, and the Army regained its strength, numbering about 10,000 men. Fort Nonsense was officially referred to as the Upper Redoubt during the war. Exactly what the fort looked like has been lost to time. Archaeologists surveyed the site, and today, what they believe to be the fort's footprint has been outlined here on the summit using these blocks of stone. We've moved about 4 miles southwest to the Jockey Hollow Visitor Center. The center has a very nice replica of a typical cabin the troops built to house and shelter themselves while wintering in the area.
Are you warming up? I expect not. Hey, they call us out to stand formation at first light. There's a powerful amount of guarding we do around here.
A short walk from the visitor center is the Wick family farm. The Continental Army occupied large areas of the farm during the 1779-1780 winter. Henry Wick owned approximately 1,400 acres and built this home around 1750. He made a good living growing wheat, corn, hay, and rye. He also sold lumber harvested from the woodlands and planted apple orchards, which were turned into cider. When Washington's army arrived, for 3 winters, parts of the Continental Army camped on Wick's Farm and the rest of Jockey Hollow. Rows of log huts and company streets lined slopes, once covered by woods. During the harsh winter of 1779-1780 alone, the Continental Army consumed more than 600 acres of the farm's trees. Trees to build shelter, cook meals, and warm, chilled limbs. That winter, the Wick House itself served as the headquarters of Major General Arthur St. Clair, commander of the Pennsylvania Line. Adjacent to the house is the family's smokehouse, as well as a garden where they grew herbs and fresh vegetables. And their barn and other outbuildings. Up on the hillside are several replicas of the huts the troops built while they occupied the area. 12 soldiers were typically billeted in each cabin, which were rustic at best. Most had a rough fireplace, but these were still crowded, drafty, and cold quarters during the harsh winter months. Here's the footprint for one of the original cabins and the surviving pieces of its fireplace. Let's take a peek inside. Further up the hill is an example of the officers' quarters. Washington ordered that the officers' huts be built last after the soldiers had moved into their huts. While the soldiers were in their huts by Christmas 1779, some officers did not move into a hut until much later. Not much better, this one is the same size as the enlisted men's quarters. Split in half, it housed 2 per side, for a total of 4 officers. Not half that of the enlisted soldiers' huts. That will wrap up today's explore of this piece of American history here in New Jersey. I want to thank you for tagging along and hope you had a good time. Remember, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride, and thanks for watching.